It's the most wonderful time. Hey, there's new shelves back there.
Yeah, I just built those last weekend. You like it?
Is it? Yeah, that looks sick.
It's like a little barrier between like where you walk in and then the bed, like a privacy.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and we're gonna put we have a bunch of records on it and all kinds of stuff.
I love that. I see that in a lot of um like architecture magazines, like now for just loft apartments, like in New York.
Yeah.
You should probably go ahead and hit those kids up.
Oh yeah. So if you can see, I'll move the camera a little bit up.
Yeah.
I couldn't have planned that if I wanted to. My thought was I would cut it just a little short and then shim it up and then screw it to the ceiling, but I cut it so tight it just sits there. Like,
Are you serious?
yeah, look at that. Like right up to the ceiling.
Oh my gosh, the craftsmanship.
No. And it's 7 pieces, so they just kind of lock into each other.
Okay.
It's not like
That is so cool.
screws or anything. It's just sitting there. So
I love that. That looks awesome.
and I could put my record of the week right there. That's
Yeah.
a selector right there.
Like right there.
Right there. Yeah.
And it's there is where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sick. I've been sick for,
Yeah. What happened?
I just got a cold. Everyone in our hall got a cold and it was my turn.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of people sick around there, you mean?
Yep. Supposed to be at
Mm.
Ramapo today and I got up early and tried to like be
Rally.
strong and I just couldn't. So I
I
walked.
thought to myself, I'm a man that built an entire wall.
Yeah.
Of course I can go to Ramapo.
Oh,
Wrong.
but then again,
But then again, I'm just a man who built a wall.
oh man. Needless to say, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. We all have our limits.
I was thinking about like the best intro for our guest, so I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah. Please do.
Okay. During like COVID, like height of COVID, I have
Okay.
spotted this person, so I'm gonna try to do her justice.
I'm so stoked.
During the height of COVID, we decided to sell the tiny house. We
Yeah.
van. We didn't know where we were gonna live. And our good friend, well, when we first moved to Warwick, we became friends with Elise, and we call her Polly, but it's Jessica. We became
Okay.
two girls that lived in this big house. And then we'd been friends for years. And then we decided to sell the tiny house, but we didn't know where we were going to live. And so we uh, asked Elise if we could move into her house with her and Polly for like 2 months just to figure out what we were going to do and figure out
Yeah.
maybe doing a van. And that uh, became 2 years of living with Elise and Polly. And
Okay.
the second year was just the three of us because Elise got married.
Okay.
But we move in with Elise and Polly. We're in a transition in our life because we're gonna sell the tiny house after like 6 years and figure out what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. And at the same time, Elise started dating Jeff. So she was in like this big transition in her life.
Yeah.
Polly finds her dad.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
At the beginning of COVID.
this is like 2021, spring of 21.
So
So
we're in the midst.
in the height of COVID, we're all in like this
They're
transition
all in this weird spot.
and we're under one roof.
That's crazy.
Oh, welcome, Polly.
Come on in, JP.
Come on, JP. She's also called JP.
I love it.
Hello,
Hi.
How are
How's
you?
good?
Melissa. So nice to finally meet you.
I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so excited about this guest, Jessica
Thanks,
Polly.
thanks for that epic intro.
Was it good? Did you
It
like
was
it?
great. Yeah, it was great. It brought me back into all the feels.
All right.
Because there was a
So,
Well,
lot of
that's
feels that
amazing
summer.
of you to be like, yeah, let's all like live together. Like that really speaks to your character.
yeah,
Well, honestly, it was I think the best thing. When things in hindsight, you don't know how great they're going to be
Yeah.
I mean, we were already the best of friends when it happened, so it was kind of like, well, this is cool.
Oh
We get
man.
to ride out the rest of this COVID train with our besties.
Yeah.
So
That's so awesome.
it was really fun.
So how did I do introing how that happened? Was that pretty close?
That was pretty accurate because I mean, that's how it felt. We had three, like, I don't know, airplanes trying not to collide, separate lives, but we were all going through some pretty intense, in a good way, things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like a crazy summer, but we also celebrated a lot. We had a lot of reasons to be happy.
Oh, we did. We had Sundays were All Creatures Great and Small Sundays,
Right.
and we were
Which would
watching.
be what? Which would happen? What would happen?
Oh, it was like a show on the BBC. It's
show.
very wholesome.
Okay. Okay.
Very awesome.
So we would have like a wholesome Sunday. Tequila Thursdays. Chelsea reminded me.
Oh.
Yeah, and we'd watch The Killing.
Tequila.
So we called it
The
Tequila
healing.
Thursdays.
Tequila Thursday. Sounds worse than it is.
But you
Yeah,
had a little of both, a little wholesome, a little naughty, a little wholesome.
yeah, we were
Like all
know?
things in balance.
yeah,
Right, exactly.
all creatures, great and small.
Exactly. We were a big fan of tradition. I feel like we had
Yeah.
a lot of tradition.
Oh, I love that. I
So
love
over
tradition.
2 years living together, we had like our little things that we would do.
Yeah.
And we would
Jake would make
Yeah.
homemade tortillas on
Oh, yeah.
Thursday.
I made
Chelsea would
Oh
make
my
slaw.
gosh.
We'd make fish tacos.
Oh, this
And I
is
would-
a dream.
I would slice up the limes and the oranges for the tequila.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a pivotal point.
It was important,
Yes.
but you know, their
We
food.
had a
was-
lot of
That
fun.
truly sounds like a dream. Like
It was a great 2 years. So
Right.
even when we lived in the van, we lived in the driveway. So
okay.
we were right there for 2 years.
So you didn't have to give up the traditions quickly,
No.
which would have been really hurtful.
Well, and it was great because Elise got married, and then was it like you were living in the van
I
when
think
she
we
got
moved.
married, and then it was what 6 months after that you moved back in,
No, I think
or
she
like right
moved,
after.
and then we moved back in right after that,
That's right after their honeymoon,
within like a couple of months or something like that.
which was nice because Elise and I had been roommates for 8 years at that point, and
Yeah.
so that was a huge change in my life. So
Yeah,
then
that's tough.
to have again, you know, some of my best friends moving back in just kind of like
Yeah.
eased that whole blow. Like, okay, I'm not alone yet.
Yeah. That's really nice. That's like
Mhm.
such a heartwarming little story of like family where like you just have to make your own little family.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for traditions. And so a
Yeah.
whole
I
week
am
just
too.
packed full of them would be so homey.
Every day
Yeah.
was something.
There was a lot that went on too, because it was like COVID. So like we all had family members die. So we would be on like Zoom together for
Mhm.
Oh,
that.
man.
We we went through a lot. The
Yeah.
dogs. I don't
Yeah.
Oh,
Marley
I don't want to
and
get
me.
into that.
I know.
Harley.
God.
Yeah. But
But
I would
it
have
was great.
laughed if Jessica was like, because you a second ago you're like, and what was great was Elise got married, and like that's just it. And Jake's like, and it was nice having you on,
And
Polly.
so thank you for
Only
joining us.
Polly.
And that's Polly.
We didn't see Elise again, so we love you, Polly.
she's still around.
Still around.
She's alive and kicking.
she's a legend of her own.
Oh, man. Well,
So yeah, so get into the deep of this.
okay,
Okay.
so you just tell the whole story, but
Mm-hmm.
where we pick up is you get on Ancestry or
Ooh,
okay, but
I was
go
gonna
back,
say,
like tell the whole story.
Ancestry.
just want to make sure that you include the part about like coming down the stairs.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I was envisioning it as Jake was telling the intro.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a pivotal
Alright.
moment. But Chelsea, you should be here too.
I'm here. I'm
she's
just-
here.
Okay. Also,
So-
can I be obnoxious and name drop because I wanna bond with Melissa right now?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Do you know
what?
who my cousin is?
Oh yeah.
Just-
Nathan Young.
Are you kidding?
Nate and Allie are my cousins.
No.
Yeah, true story.
What?
Name dropping. Shout out to Nate and Allie.
Just the family
I
just kind of
love
combines.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel like me and JP are like this too. I
Yeah.
was there
I
with you
needed to
guys.
start that way. Needed to
It's
start
not
strong.
hard.
You guys
It's
are
not hard.
cousins.
Yes, Nathan's mom and my mom are first cousins. Our grandfathers were brothers.
Oh my gosh, I love them so
I love them
much.
too, and I love Allie so much.
Oh my
I
word,
love
they're
working with them.
amazing,
So
right?
excited for them. Yeah.
And they just did their little meet and greet today. I was texting her
Oh,
about
did
that.
they? Oh, that's so exciting. I messaged. Yeah, I need to reach out to them again because
Not to get sidetracked. Not to get
It was
sidetracked.
a worthy
Now the
moment.
dots are all
Yeah,
connected.
yeah.
dots
The
are all connected.
dots are
Okay.
connected. Yeah.
All right. So flashback, just to set this up to me not yet being born. So I
Okay.
was adopted. This all begins with an adoption story. I was adopted.
Okay, so
Um,
you were adopted.
yes, at
Okay.
24 hours old. So,
Okay, so this was a straight out the gate.
yes.
Mom was like, cannot handle. Beautiful
yeah.
adoption takes place.
Yes, my biological mom was already had a daughter. She wasn't married at the time. I think she had a lot going on in her life,
Mm-hmm.
and so she knew she couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
She had me placed with another family, and then at the last minute, they had a tragedy in their life, and we're like, sorry, we also can't do this right now. So my biological mom's best friend was in the middle of a Bible study
Okay.
with my adoptive mom's sister. It's always hard to explain this part.
Your mom was in the middle of a study.
My
So your-
mom, one
your
degree of
mom's-
separation. My mom's were over here, and then my adoptive aunt was studying the Bible with biological mom's best friend. So
I
through
see.
that chain,
Okay.
she found out about my parents that adopted me. And they're my parents, you know, like
Oh yeah.
they raised me from literally day one.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they're my parents. So my mom is Debbie.
Okay.
So they found out about me. They were able to adopt me. And that's all. I didn't know a lot, but because of that connection, we always knew who my biological mother was.
Okay.
And so when I was like 18 to 20, she reached out and like very respectful asked if she could write to me. So we
Okay,
wrote
so
back and
even
forth.
though there was a connection, she was not like, hey,
No.
can you send me a picture of her at school? Like it
No.
was still like, bye-bye.
She was super respectful. Very,
Okay.
very much. And you know, my parents didn't know that at the time, and my mom had a lot of, you know, just didn't know what to expect. But no, she was very respectful of that whole thing. So didn't reach
Okay.
out until I was, I think, 18.
Okay, gotcha.
So we wrote back and forth for a couple of years, and she just kind of let me ask questions. So in that time, I asked, like, you know, just curious, do you know who my biological dad is? And so she wrote back this really beautiful letter. I read it again after all this happened. And she was kind of like, you know, I've always worried about this question. The truth is, I never told him about you. At the time that she found out, dun dun.
What?
Where's the sound effects?
Dun dun.
So she never told him about me.
She's
had
like,
her
funny little story. He don't know nothing.
You know nothing.
You know nothing. Okay.
So because of that, she also had a lot of fear. Like she was
Yeah.
carrying guilt with her for making that decision. And she's like, I made that decision because I felt like it was the best decision for everyone at the time. But
Okay.
obviously I was young, I was scared, you know, I have had to live with that and always wondered if it was the right thing. But the way she described it is they had one summer together, and then by the time she found out she was pregnant with me, he had left the area to either return to or go to law school. Keep that in your mind. I'll come back to that later. So he was going to law school. And she said he was such a good guy. I knew if I told him he would do the right thing, and I didn't want to like interrupt his life. So I was like, I mean, I respect it.
God, this is a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. So
They
this
are
is all
like
in the letter.
in love, like summer sweethearts, amazing in love. And she's like, no, go become a
Go
successful
live your life.
lawyer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
go do your thing.
cry.
I'm not gonna hold you back. So made that call. He left. Okay. So we're having this
So
conversation. I
really,
met
this
her.
is a plus. Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
this is
no,
a plus because this means that he's not trash. He's not
right.
garbage. He's not like, bye bye. She literally was like, no, this is best for everyone.
Yeah.
Go do your thing.
It's like a weird best case scenario for what it was.
Yeah.
You know, she made a really good faith decision, the best
Yeah.
she could at the time. And yeah, he just had no idea this whole time. And I grew up with a beautiful home
Yeah.
and never had any sense of like identity crisis or,
Wow.
you know, I always felt I'm very grateful for that because I know this is, you
It
know,
could
a
have
lot of
been
people
so
have this
much
story, but
worse.
yeah, I always felt very secure and loved and just had a beautiful have a beautiful family. So,
Wow.
I basically was curious more than
Yeah.
anything initially. So even talking to her, you know, I just, it was very fascinating and I wanted to hear her side of the story. And I felt like it was
Of
very
course.
cathartic for both of us, for her to be able to explain why she made the decision.
Yeah.
And then for me to be able to tell her, like, I have no hard feelings. I respect it. You know, we're good here. So we met when I was probably 20, 21.
Okay.
We were both living in Florida at the time. We were only a couple hours away. So she came to our house with her husband and my half brother. So she had a daughter before me and a son below me.
Okay.
So I met my half brother and her, and it was really nice. And then I don't remember what happened after that totally. We just kind of, you know, we're passive. You know, we have access to each other still, but we haven't kept in touch since
You're
then.
like Instagram friends.
We are
basically.
Instagram friends, yeah.
Okay.
So I can, you know, we keep track of each other that way.
And
which I think
because
is
you
nice.
never had like an identity crisis situation, do you feel like when you saw her, you were kind of like, nice? Or were you like, oh my gosh, like all my emotions are rushing forward. I'm now seeing you. You know, you hear people describe those moments and they're just
Mhm.
like, and I knew a part of me was fulfilled, or like I saw myself. Did
It's
that happen?
it's so interesting. It wasn't as emotional for me as I
Okay.
expected it to be. It obviously was a little emotional for her and
But
my
maybe because you were so well taken
yeah.
care of.
Mhm. I
Like
think
it was like,
so.
okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think I honestly felt grateful to her
Oh,
that she
okay.
made the decision she did because she basically was saying, I wasn't equipped to take care of you at
Yeah.
that time."
So
And
you weren't like lacking. So
right,
then it
right.
was just
Yeah.
kind of a plus to know
Mhm.
that she's fine or whatever,
Yeah,
but not that you needed anything from her, basically.
right.
Yeah.
I think for her to see that I was healthy, happy, had a good life, she was so grateful to my parents for the life that they were able to give me that she just couldn't. So
Okay.
I think yeah, I just didn't feel as emotional about it, just grateful. I'm so
Okay.
glad that we had the opportunity to meet and talk and clear all of that up. You know, I just don't have anything lingering.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
now
Well, that's amazing.
I think we just, you know, we don't actively keep in touch, but I think if there's ever anything really important that came up, we could get to each other. So,
Yeah.
um, so she had
You
given
so you
me,
meet your little brother too.
met my
Like,
little brother too.
cutie
And at
patootie.
that time he was probably like 12. Like he was pretty
Okay.
young, 12 or 13. So he's also kind of in his own world. Like
Yeah.
doesn't probably
He's like,
fully know
nice
what's
to meet
happening.
you, random woman.
Yeah. This is cool.
Nice.
And I've never, to this day, I've never met my older half sister, and she has a
Okay.
daughter. But we're
Okay.
also Instagram friends. So
Okay.
Also Instagram friends. I
also
love it.
Instagram friends.
But she gave you a picture, right?
So my biological mother gave me a photo of my biological father from when he was probably in grade school. So he looked a lot younger, and his name was sharpied off the back, so I couldn't see it.
Did she
Um,
mark it off?
I
I'm
think
so
she marked
sorry.
it off again because of the guilt. You know, she was just nervous about me finding
Yeah.
him, I think.
Okay.
So, but I had that picture for a long, long time. And again, only
When you looked at it, could you like see you?
I could a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I could. Something about the face for sure, especially his young face.
Yeah.
Um, And then yeah, fast forward now to 2021. And I have another good friend in Florida who is also adopted, and she was in the middle of a deep dive, like doing Ancestry, doing 23andMe, and she had just been talking about it a lot. And I felt like, I kind of just want to know for sure that I'm Scottish. I would like proof.
Back
But
to the
maybe-
Scottish roots.
Maybe one day I can make a claim to some Highland area or something.
Absolutely.
Ironically, I got a Father's Day deal on an Ancestry test.
Are
And
you?
so I get my little Ancestry test, do my DNA swab, put it in the mail, send it back. Now, in the meantime, it takes a couple weeks. So Jake and Chelsea, Elise, we're all deeply invested in this. We're all talking about
Yeah.
it. And they know that I have this information that I haven't proven yet. I just think I know who it is. So
Yeah.
on Ancestry, once you make an account, it wants you to start populating your family tree. So I just use this
Oh.
information that I have uncovered and start
From
populating
the
my
granddad's obituary.
start
Well, you-
populating my family tree.
You had done it like private, right? Like you didn't want it to be shown.
I thought I had done it on private. Yes.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain there's a box somewhere that I checked that said this is just my information, and your tree is private. So
Oh, okay.
I thought everything was private. So now I'm blissfully populating my little tree, and once you start putting information, it just keeps sending you more because now it's like linking you with anyone else that's who has the same
Oh.
information.
Is it linked like when you put your blood in and then it gets back to you? Does it populate your profile? Or are the two connected? Like,
The
how did it go
two-
from you putting in your personal information to getting to where they knew the?
So there's a time in between when you're waiting to get the results back.
Oh, that's
and
right. Sorry.
You can
Yeah.
just manually put the tree
Okay,
in.
so that's where you're at right now. You're just putting
Yes.
manually your family.
Yes.
Okay.
And so now I'm
Okay.
noticing a pattern that there's another user that's consistently posting about a lot of the same people that I am. And so I'm
Someone else
tracing this.
searching.
Yeah. So I click on this user and I start looking more at her profile and I kind of figure out her name and then I cross check the obituary and the name matches as one of the sisters. This would be my biological dad's sister. So my
So
biological
your aunt.
my aunt. Yeah. So I have this information. I'm like, okay, so Jake, Chelsea, and Elise, if my DNA comes back and this woman is in it at all, confirmation.
Done.
Like we have our proof. So on a Tuesday, I think,
Mhm.
at work, I get my results. And I'm at work. I'm like, well, I'm not going to work right now. So I pop open my results.
Where did you work? Sorry, I'm setting the scene.
Actually, this is perfect because it so happens I work in a law office as a paralegal.
But right downtown Warwick, like at the
You're
train
joking.
station, like a cool little like the old train station. She works up in the
It's
Okay, so
awesome.
you are
Offices.
literally like in a
Downtown
rom-com.
Warwick.
You're
Yeah.
in a rom-com, basically.
she's in a rom-com. She like if a rom-com wrote a story about
Yeah.
working class Jessica
Yeah.
in
Jessica
her
Holly.
little loft train
Yeah.
station part like office, like that's where she works.
I'm just trying to find my dad.
There is a rom com right now that's weirdly
It's like your
the new
story.
Harry Connick Jr. rom com.
Oh, I'm not shocked about
It's a
that.
bit of a spoiler alert, but anyways,
Okay,
it felt too real.
so there you are.
So there I
in
am
the,
in my law office.
in your law
Okay.
office.
Open my results, and I'm 37% Scottish. So
Good
hey,
numbers.
Woo!
I'm over the moon,
Damn.
right? So as a footnote, this woman comes back as my top DNA match. 24% DNA match.
Okay.
We're calling
Okay.
her Aunt Cheryl. She is in fact Aunt Cheryl. But
Okay.
so
We're
You know
calling her
what?
by
We're
her
gonna
name.
call her
So I-
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Her name is Cheryl.
Her name is Cheryl. But we've been calling her Aunt Cheryl for a while, even before I knew for sure.
Okay. Okay.
So I come home that day. I don't even think I texted you guys. I think I just
You just came
came
home. Yeah.
So Elise was on the phone with Jeff. They were dating. I don't remember where Jake was at this point, but Chelsea was in the kitchen.
I think I was in the bedroom or something, or I
Okay.
just got home from work or something.
So I
So
came
just a little bit. So upstairs is where the girls were.
Okay.
We were in a bedroom right by the front door, but we all just kind of mingled in the kitchen area.
Okay. And this is
So
the part about the stairs that I'm like on pins and needles.
Okay. So I come home, Chelsea's in the kitchen, and I'm like, Chelsea, guess what? Great news. I'm Scottish. And then she's like, Polly, that's great. Like, what about the DNA? And at this point, I just go into full denial. And I think I was like, yeah, she was
Oh.
my top DNA match. Isn't that crazy? And Chelsea just kind of like took me and was like, Polly, that's a
Where
big deal.
is your dad?
That means you found your dad. And I was just like, is it? Because now I'm second guessing
Stop.
everything. This is too big. I don't think I did it right.
Polly's
I
like,
think
no, I'm 37% Scottish. And she's like, you found your dad.
I'm like, but the Scottish.
Polly has like page number 1. It's like the big red. We found your dad. And Chelsea's like standing by a shredder, and you're just like, yeah, so anyway.
It was definitely the sidebar.
It was a sidebar.
Okay, so sidebar,
Yeah.
my dad,
Sidebar,
but
we
I'm
found it.
Scottish.
Yeah.
But I'm Scottish. Yeah.
Oh my God, I could literally laugh about that for days. Just
No, this
Chelsea
keeps
like
going.
chopping up chicken and like turns the stove off. She's like, okay, my friend has found, and you're like, I'm Scottish. Isn't that crazy? Are we doing tacos tonight?
It's
Wild.
literally
It's
how it
tequila.
was.
It's tequila Tuesday. Let's
Tequila
go.
Tuesday, girl. And Chelsea's like, all right, we have to lock this down.
Elise is outside on the phone and she comes in and Chelsea's like, Elise, Polly has something to tell you. And so she's like still on the phone. I'm like, yeah, so I'm Scottish and found my dad. And she just almost like drops the phone and starts crying and just like hugs me. And I'm like, okay, so this is serious, huh?
It was like the only one that didn't realize the moment was the person that the moment was about. Like Chelsea's so like emotion. Elise is crying and Polly's like,
Elise
I know
and
I'm
Chelsea
Scottish,
are
right?
crying.
I'm like, why has no one poured me scotch yet?
I'm Scottish. You just are like
Oh, man.
screaming it into the night. Chelsea and Elise have like a cake that's like, we love that you found your dad. And you're like, what is this?
Where's the whiskey?
Where's my whiskey and my like new little like outfit I can wear? I don't get it.
Where's all my
Oh.
tartan?
You know what? I can't even like Chelsea is also like such a good person to be the person that would be there when you do that.
She was.
Because it's like
She really was.
she's not gonna go like, oh, okay, I guess we're not doing this. She's gonna ever so
No.
kindly be like, we're
No.
doing this now.
She's smiling.
Ollie,
as
you
you
will
say that.
understand the significance
In a
of this
loving
moment.
way.
Yeah.
Very much so. So
Okay,
we did
so
drink scotch that night and all around celebrated and
wonderful
processed.
Good night.
night.
Everything great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was still back to the question of, okay, what are you gonna do with this information, Polly?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
still like, I'm still not convinced I'm gonna do anything with it. I just need to sit on this for a bit. So again, thought my whole life on ancestry.com was just for me.
Oh my
And I
God.
think maybe a week later,
Maybe not even like a week.
I'm so
maybe not even a
scared.
week later.
Yeah.
So we had all been hanging out that night, a typical
Okay.
house
Oh,
night.
reminder, this is during COVID. So like Zoom is our meetings, everything. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not like out a lot at
Okay,
night or
okay.
anything like that. Yeah.
You're literally
still
on
close,
Zoom,
so
your house.
We are
phone.
our bubble.
Yeah.
So we had
Okay.
all just finished hanging out and literally had just and we did have a couple people over to sit outside that night, remember? We were by the fire. Just like 2 or 3 people came over to sit by the fire. We were all outside.
Okay.
And so we were talking about all this and like where it was with things and everything. And I'm pretty sure one of you was like, okay, let's just play this out, Polly. What if Cheryl reaches out to you? And I'm like, she's
Right.
not going to, because they're like, Polly, just listen. What if Cheryl reaches out to you? What are you going to do? And so we had just had this whole hypothetical scenario, right? And then everyone leaves, everyone like goes to their rooms. We're going to go to bed. I go upstairs to my room, go to check my phone before I fall asleep, and I have a message from
No.
Ancestry.
No.
And I open it, and it's from Aunt Cheryl.
I'm gonna die.
And Aunt Cheryl's like, hey, Ancestry says we're cousins. I know all of my cousins. Do you feel like sharing your tree with me?
You
And
said,
at this
"Hey,
point-
girl, block,
Uh-oh.
delete. I'm in denial."
At this point, my level of hyperventilation panic just hit a 10.
Okay.
I run
okay.
downstairs. Thankfully, Jake still hadn't like totally gone to bed yet. He's just sitting on the couch. You can
Thankfully,
probably
Jake
describe
was just
better
in
my
his
state of
tidy
mind.
whities on the couch having scotch still. And you're like, whoa, first of all, I'm
first off,
Scottish. So
put on your tartan.
put on your tartan.
Buckle up.
So you go down. You're like, dude.
I think I practically fall down the stairs. I've never been so close to like my knees buckling from underneath me. I was so couldn't speak, and I'm not that person.
Oh, you're very
never-
articulate.
Had this happen before. I just felt like
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. And I was like,
Oh my god.
guess what just happened?
I can't believe that they guessed.
What?
I can't believe they guessed. Like they're like,
I
what are
know.
you gonna do?
So Jake and our other roommate just kind of like, calm down. You're gonna sleep on this. You're
Okay.
gonna deal with it tomorrow. This is a good thing. It's gonna be
Reasonable.
okay. Like, let's just take a step back. This is good.
Yeah.
Let's process it and we'll deal with it tomorrow. And so I think
Excellent advice.
just, helps me be able to sleep that night.
Okay.
Sometimes I can come through.
No, Jake's like, do you
Calm
hate
presence.
Yeah.
Do you hate them?
I'm on. Do we hate him?
Do
But
we-
we're- but I'm also like updating my Instagram. Like, oh my god, big news! Big news.
Hey guys, be
Going
guys.
live now.
going
Hey,
live here
hey,
with
tribe.
Polly.
Polly in a full blown panic attack. This is
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Aunt Cheryl, if you're listening, reach out, honey.
So you sleep on it. You do
We
sleep on it.
Okay. And I prayed about it a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Next day, I go full send.
Ooh.
And I send Aunt Cheryl a message. It's all a blur because I think it happened on a Sunday.
I just thought there was like you wrote it out, but you didn't send it. Like you didn't want to send it for a few days.
The way that I remember it happening was it happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe I sent the message Tuesday morning
Okay.
because by Tuesday night, I thought she had written me back. So I wrote her back and I didn't tell her everything, but just enough. Like, here's what I think is happening. I think this
Yeah.
person is my dad. I think that's your brother. He doesn't know about me. Just kind of like dropped a bomb on poor Aunt Cheryl for her to deal with.
Yeah.
So she wrote me back within 24 hours. Very sweet. And was like, yes,
Okay.
that's my brother. Here's all of his information. He and his wife would love to talk to you.
Oh, so she told her brother, like, guess what?
Through I think like they have another sister too. And I think between the two of them, they like gave him the information.
Can
And
you
then,
imagine the family discussion?
yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I would. I can't.
But also,
Yeah.
can we pause for a moment and just acknowledge the fact that instead of Polly being like, "Hey, yeah, I don't know who you are," she's like, "Okay, let me tell you the full story."
Yeah.
Because
She's like, you are my Aunt Cheryl.
well,
like, this
I
is-
remember Polly writing out her response and sending it to us. I'm sure she sent it.
That's-
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you read it for sure.
Like a few days
It
where
was
you
I do think she's right. It was Sunday to Tuesday. Because
Okay.
I know because by Wednesday
Yeah,
was the next part for sure because it was Elise's meeting night.
right.
I knew
Okay.
that.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. You've got it locked.
So, but I remember reading your response, and
I remember your face.
I was like, "Are you sure?"
Elsie was like, "Oh, you're going for it."
Yeah.
I
Full
probably
send.
really said that.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
I was so shocked / impressed that you were just like, "I'm gonna lay it out on the table as it is."
Your
Yeah.
brother is my dad.
Oh my. Your brother's my
Yeah,
dad.
it takes a lot of guts. It takes,
Your brother's
Yeah.
my dad.
but
Hey,
also to go from I'm gonna sit on this information for a while
I know.
to then being forced to just go forward with it. But then to just be like, all right, well, your brother's
Yeah.
my dad, and
yeah.
And I think be remiss if I didn't say I attribute all of that to I was praying a lot at this time.
Yeah.
And I had Jake and Chelsea and Elise all like supporting me and helping me talk things out. And
Yeah.
it felt like the right time.
Yeah.
And it felt like the way it happened, because I had been so worried about being the one to reach out to him
Mm-hmm.
and like drop this bomb and then not know where it was
like,
going to
this
go.
is
I don't
perfect.
know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about me. I don't want him to feel pressure.
Yeah.
So the fact that I did this so innocently,
Mhm.
and that again, I did not know I could be seen at all, and
Right.
that she reached out to me first, it just really felt like I can handle this.
Yeah.
It's out of my hands now.
And it's kind
I
of
don't-
like the way that it went down was the only way
Right.
that maybe you could have completed
Right.
this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's also kind of sort of neutral. It's not like you're
Yeah.
forcing something. It's just kind of it happened, and it doesn't feel like you were like trying to make it happen, sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For
So she wrote back, gave me all the information. That was on a Tuesday. I let myself sleep on it again. By that Wednesday, I got home from work and I was like, I'm going to send him a text. So
Ooh.
everyone was getting ready for their Zoom meetings. And at the time, we were doing a lot of Zoom meetings outside, right? Like you were taking advantage of being able to sit outside. And it was a beautiful night. So I
Yeah.
texted him. I had intended to say, like, hey, maybe we can talk on Friday. But I think I just said, hey, this is me. I hear we have a lot to talk about. Needless to say, we have a lot to talk about.
Hey, it's your daughter.
Let me know when you're free. He wrote back right away and was like, how about 10 minutes from now? If that's good for you. Like, my wife and I are here. We're ready. So I was
Oh,
like,
he is great. This
second
is
panic
great.
attack. And then I was like,
Second
Elise,
panic
I'm gonna
attack.
go sit in the hammock in the backyard and make this phone call. And she's like, well, I'm gonna be on my Zoom meeting on the back deck watching you and like waiting for cues of how it's going. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So I went out back. I called them. They were on speakerphone, him and his wife, Deborah. Mind you,
Another Deb.
my adoptive mom is Debbie. We call her, my friends call her Debs. And now my biological dad's wife is Deborah also. And his sister is also Deborah.
No.
So my
That
mom
is
is
so
Debs.
weird.
She is, my stepmom is Deborah.
What?
But we talked for an hour that night, and it was just the easiest that it could have possibly been.
That
Like,
is so
They
crazy.
just wanted me to feel at ease. He obviously had a couple questions, but it was so, yeah, just so easy.
What
couldn't
did
even
he
explain it.
think about your mom not saying anything?
So I mentioned that I kind of like, I started word vomiting when that came up. I was like, by the way, like, I think she, has regret about this and wasn't sure what to do. And he kind of just politely interrupted and said, I think that was all in the past. It sounds like you're happy and you're healthy, and that's all that really matters. And that's when I was like,
a stellar guy.
This is a really good person. She was right. He's a really good person.
You know what? She's right. He wouldn't have went to law school.
Yeah. And he just, like he asked just enough questions to get an understanding, and then
Yeah, like he
You could just-
recalled he
Yeah.
recalled the summer, acknowledged what it was, but
Okay.
it wasn't
Yeah.
like
wasn't a big deal.
yeah.
He
Okay.
didn't want to harp on it. It was more like, tell us about you, And he's like, I heard from, because I had told Cheryl, like, I was interested in my Scottish heritage. And so he's like, I heard that you have an interest in that. Like, we all do too. Let me tell you about it. Like,
You're
this is
kidding.
where our clan came from. We have visited there.
Yeah.
My brother and his daughter, like, have set up a
Full
nonprofit.
circle.
Yeah. Have set up a nonprofit to restore a castle ruins in the middle of a loch on an island in our territory.
Are you joking?
I'm just fangirling out at this point. Like, wow. This
Oh
is-
my word. Also,
my
the
dream.
fact that for whatever reason you were just like so obsessed with the Scottish part of it.
The fact
I
that
just-
like everything that
and-
she wanted from that was Scottish,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
she finds her dad, but also he's like, here's a bunch more Scottish stuff
Yeah,
We
he's
also
like,
love
by the way,
Scotland.
we own an island and we
was-
built a fortress.
Yeah. My first trip to Scotland, I just felt like I was at home and I didn't know why. And I think ever since then, I just
Whoa.
have loved Scotland. I just feel like I'm at home there.
That is so cool.
And it's not my most percentage, but it's the second. But I
Yeah.
just love
That
it.
is awesome.
So
Anyway.
then
So
you
in-
talk to him. You talk to them on the phone.
Talked to them on the phone. He kind of asked if because he's not on Ancestry. So he just said, can we do another DNA test just so no one else can ever question this? I'll arrange for it. Is that okay? And I said, yes. So over the next few weeks, like I get a thing from this place. We do our DNA test. And then about a month later, it's now, so that this is end of July. So now end of August, I hadn't heard anything back yet. And he texted and said, hey, can I call you? And I said, sure. So I pick up the phone. He's like, so have you heard the news? And I was like, no. He's like, I guess I'm your dad.
Good news.
no,
I was like-
he said that.
Okay. Yeah. So then he's like, can we, we'd really like to come to Warwick to meet you. Are you free this weekend? Bring a friend.
What?
Like, we'll come to you. We want this to be easy for you.
This
So-
guy is a gem.
Oh, they're
Such a sweet
gems.
guy.
Yeah.
So we made all these plans. It was like on a Saturday or a Sunday. We had our assembly that weekend.
Yeah.
And I had kind of mentioned that to them because, I had told them about the truth and they were just very respectful and, curious. So I had mentioned the assembly to them. And he had made a comment like, oh, like if we Zoom in, will we see you? And I was like, no, like it's a live, like, no, I won't be on it. But then on a whim, I kind of I got the link that night and I was like, here's the link just if you're curious, but I won't be on it. But here's the link if you're curious. So that weekend, Elise and I went and met them for dinner in Warwick at a little Italian restaurant. I was so nervous. Elise and I went and got like a
would be
free
too.
glass of wine and
Oh yeah.
but it was such a nice dinner. And then we had set it up with Jake and Chelsea, like, okay, we're gonna text you if it's going well and we want to come back to the house if you guys are up for it. And they're like, absolutely, we're here. And Ginger too, my other roommate. And so the dinner went great. We text them, like I said, do you want to come back to the house? And they said we'd love to. So I had made brownies and I had found in our local liquor store a scotch, Loch Lomond, which is from where our clan is from. And I'd never seen it before in my life. So I got him a bottle of scotch. And so we went back to my house. Jake and Chelsea were there. Ginger was not there and like drove back, borrowed, it's a long story, but drove back to be there. Elise was there. And so we just like, my stepmom was like, you guys can have scotch together if you want and I'll drive home. So we just like
Stop.
ate
Yeah.
cookies or whatever and drank scotch and chatted and
They're
That
like,
is so
Thanks,
amazing.
they're so nice. They're just like very nice people. Like it
Very
was
I
cool to
love
like
that.
hear the story. Like you kind of like hope for the best, but then when it
Yeah.
actually comes through to be the kind of people that you would want them to be,
Yeah.
it was really nice.
they
Oh
have those
my
qualities you
word.
just can't, they're just naturally good people.
Oh my
Super
goodness.
sweet. So they left that night and then they sent us that week a care package, like a bottle of champagne and a bottle of wine and a card that talked specifically about Elise, Jake, Chelsea, Ginger.
Oh.
Like you guys said you love to celebrate.
Marley. Yeah.
Marley. Yeah.
Even
they put
Marley.
Doodle
No,
in the card.
stop.
Yeah. Just so thoughtful and
They're
so
the
personal.
sweetest
Yeah.
people.
The sweetest. So
My word, that is incredible. I cannot believe that.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's magical.
They know like our anniversaries. When Marley died, they said something like
No.
they've listened to like my talks on Zoom before. Like they've been on for
Stop.
assemblies, they've been on for when Polly has a talk. Like
mean-
they're just good people, like
They're
great people.
committed.
At this
Mm.
point, I mean, I need to meet them as well.
You do. You
And
definitely
so-
do. The night Jeff and Elise got engaged, we were at Mount Killington and I just texted them like they got engaged, we're out to dinner. At the end of dinner, the waiter comes back and he's like, you guys have been taken care of.
Stop
like,
it.
And he's like, Michael and Deborah send their best wishes. And they like looked up the restaurant we were out and paid the whole bill. And Jeff
Yeah.
still talks about it. He's like, they're just They're just amazing.
That is, I can't, there's nothing to say.
No.
Even like,
Like-
so Polly just moved to the place that she's in now. I hung that
Okay.
TV, by the way.
Yeah,
Um,
you never.
But it was like a housewarming party, and they came
Okay.
up. They came out for it. So we just saw them like 2 weeks ago, and
So you're like pals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Me, them, and my mom all stayed in an Airbnb together around the corner.
That is making me want to sob. Your mom and your dad from
Oh,
one
yeah.
summer
talk about that. Like,
stayed in an Airbnb together.
No, this is my
talk about that connection between your
my
adopted
adoptive mom.
Deb, like your
Oh,
mom.
okay. I was like, was
My
your mom
mom.
okay?
No.
Or
No,
what
but I think
true
that's
love?
even more
It's
like
even
amazing.
more amazing
Yeah.
because
So-
Okay.
my mom, that's my mom.
Mom,
She
yeah.
has been, my whole family has just been so supportive. Because again, I don't want anyone to feel like I thought I was lacking something and that's where we're at here. Like
Yeah.
I was never lacking anything. This is only a bonus.
Yeah.
And my family just hasn't, they've been so kind about, we're so excited for you. This is amazing. We don't feel that way. Like we love you and we're so happy we have you, but this is amazing. And now we have more people to love.
Right.
So, and my mom has just been, my mom and my stepmom and my bio dad are all, I call them Pops and Deborah. They're all in a group chat together and they like text on the side and they were making plans for the housewarming party weekend without like figuring it out for me. And
Adorable.
my mom and her like were cooking together in the kitchen.
Oh
And
my gosh, people love you so much.
it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. And I love them.
Really sweet.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I know this is one of those stories that could definitely go way over time. So
Oh, girl, we
the
good.
We're good. We're good.
the only other thing I loved was when I was first getting to know that, not the only other thing, but one other thing. My mom had like sent them baby pictures of me, like mailed them baby pictures of me so that they would have some. And so when I saw them after that, my stepmom said, it made me so emotional because A, your baby pictures and Michael's baby pictures look so much alike. And B, she said, I don't know how to explain this other than to say you and Michael's mother, my maternal grandmother, who had already passed, you have the same, she said, sparkle in your eye that she had. Like you have the same eyes.
Come
And I was
on.
like, this is
Oh
really
my
precious.
God.
And this was a thing, just a silly thing in my life. I was starting to wonder, I just wonder who I look like. Like you
Right.
see all your friends growing and looking more and more like their parents. And I just wonder who I look like.
And now
And so
you
they
know.
sent me pictures of my maternal grandmother.
No.
And that is who I look like.
You like your twin.
Paternal. His
Yeah.
mother.
His
We
mom.
look so much alike.
Oh.
That's where I got my
Wow.
nose. I always wondered where I got my nose. And it's from her.
So that was really your
That
moment
was really cool.
when you're like, okay, this is like
Yeah.
hardcore sinking in now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I can't
Gosh.
believe I'm not forgetting. This is important. But they also have a son. So I
Yeah.
have a half brother
So
Alex.
cool.
from them. And Alec just graduated law school.
And you work at a law firm.
Yeah. So
I'm a
just
paralegal and I've got
just-
2 attorneys.
yeah. So you're a paralegal, but what was your second option?
Psychology, I always loved.
And then
And
what
my
was Pop's
grandfather
Pop's
was
dad
down.
was a
was a psychologist.
Are you no
Literally in high school, those are my top. I was
No.
like psychology and law.
no. It's
Wild.
too much.
It's wild.
Too much.
Nature versus nurture. It's just weird.
It's too crazy.
A full-on case study.
I
Yeah.
mean, just the fact that your whole family on that side of your dad, it like all legal
Yeah.
psychology, and now you're like, no, I'm a paralegal. It's
too.
bizarre.
and
it's
that they're so
adorable and-
close. Like
Yeah.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
That's crazy.
And they've met my boss who's an attorney.
Oh my
And then, okay, this is crazy. He came to the office and met my boss, and they were like in the corner talking shop. I wasn't paying attention. A few minutes later, they come back over, and my boss is like, so I think we might hire your dad to do some work in Pennsylvania. And I was like,
Shut up.
that's weird, but cool.
So I've got my dad a job. So now
Yeah.
I got my dad a job
So my office
In
hired
my office.
my pops to do some legal work because he's a lawyer in Pennsylvania, and we just happened to have a client at that time who needed work done in Pennsylvania.
Are you serious?
And I was like,
That is click.
we're like texting about work.
Hey
So
pops, what are we thinking?
What are we
What are we
doing
thinking
here?
about the
How'd it
What are we gonna do?
contract?
How to go?
Daddy-o,
Make it good.
right? Make it good, pops. Make it good for your girl.
Impress my boss.
That is so wild.
Isn't that crazy? So it's been a roller coaster of I guess it's been
Emotion.
3. We just had 3 years.
Been like, yeah. Well,
So the
almost
year
3.5.
after-
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5. The
Okay.
year after we met, Pops and Deborah and Alec, my brother, drove down to Delaware, which is where I'm from. I
Okay.
drove down to Delaware. My mom, my grandpa, who was still alive at the time, and a bunch of my aunts, uncles, and cousins, we all met and had like a family meet and greet in
Whoa.
Delaware because 2 of my aunts still live there. So they hosted it at the house that my grandparents used to live in. I basically grew up going there as a kid. Like it
Is it
has
by
so
the
much meaning
beach?
for me.
Is it
And
by
then
the
that's
beach? Or
where we
no?
all met. By the beach.
Is it by the beach or no?
It's not super. It's like 45 minutes probably, or
Okay.
an hour.
We
Yeah.
love Delaware. We
Oh.
go to the Rehoboth all the time.
See, when I was a kid, I was there till I was 10, and I don't think I knew
Oh.
how much people loved it. But we used to go to Ocean City a lot.
Oh man, I love Rehoboth.
So
I
yeah.
can just envision this little family meeting and like
Yeah.
everybody, like their hearts are just so full and
Yeah.
like you're seeing all these people like, whoa, this is my family. Like that's
And my sweet little
crazy.
grandpa. That was super special. That was, yeah. 'Cause then he
Okay.
passed away, I think, the year after. And I was just like, just the fact
Oh.
that they got to meet him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was
Such a
I mean,
good
we might
story.
as well just end the pod. I mean, we're not going to get a better interview than this.
That's not true.
Like, I don't think it can be topped.
I'll make you cry now, though.
Oh no.
Oh, here we go.
No. Don't do
This
it.
is how I'll wrap up. So
Right.
that was our 1 year meet and greet, right?
Okay.
So my stepmom early on hands me a box, like a gift, and is like, open this and read it and when you're ready. And I was like, okay. So we were kind of rushing. We went back to the Airbnb and then we were gonna go back and meet them for dinner. And so I just opened the gift, and inside was this beautiful ring, if you can see it. And it's aquamarine, which is
I've already looked at this while you were talking. I was like,
Yeah.
that ring is huge.
So it's aquamarine. It's my birthstone, and my stepmother has really good, like she loves jewelry. So I didn't overthink
Okay.
it. I was just like, wow, this is gorgeous. I love it. It's my birthstone. Like I love it. So I
Yeah.
just wear it, and we get there, and she's like, oh, you're wearing it. Did you read the letter? And I was like, no, not yet. Like we were rushing. But I love it so much. She's like, you should read the letter. I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go read the letter as soon as I can. So we get home that night. It's like a 2-page handwritten letter of my stepmom telling me this story about how she and my grandmother used to go shopping together. That was like their thing that they would do. She and Pops' mom. So the
Okay.
guys would like go be doing their thing. They would go shopping. But she's like, your grandmother was so frugal and your grandfather was even more frugal. So she never wanted
Yeah.
to like, buy too much or spend too much. But we were shopping this one day and she saw this ring. And I just saw her staring at it. And she loved it. I knew she loved it. And she was like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. And I just told her, look, it like brings out your eyes. You have to get it. Like, this is you. You should get it. You never get yourself anything. I know you love this. Just get it. And she's like, so she got it. And we got home, and sure enough, Grandpa was like, where'd you get that? Like, how much money did you spend on that? And Deborah was just like, no, like, she needed it. It's beautiful. And she's like, so when she died, your grandfather gave it to me. And we
No.
always said that we would give it
No.
to the oldest granddaughter in the family.
Stop.
And so you are now the oldest granddaughter in the family. And me, Michael, and Alec all agreed that you should have it. I was like, I should have read the letter first.
Oh my gosh.
So
I
nice.
had this beautiful ring that belonged to my grandma that I never got
And
to
they
meet.
all
And I look
talked
just
about
like,
giving it to you.
yeah, they gave it to me.
Oh my god. Isn't that wild? Like your history is so important
I
Yeah.
And then you
know.
don't even know that it is until you
I
realize
know.
that you would have never heard that story.
I know.
Like,
I just love the
that's crazy.
bonds, like it's kind of ingrained in us, like
Yeah.
that the Scottish part, the what you're inclined to, like
Mhm.
for work. Like there's so many aspects of it that
Yeah.
are really cool that they kind of like solidify later on, even
Yeah.
without having the influence of what you're drawn to and what you're what you're inclined to.
That
like.
is, it's true.
And I just feel so grateful because, again, I grew up with parents who spoiled me and loved me and took care of me. My mom, to this day, like, her biggest joy in life is spoiling me. Sometimes at the expense of
Aw.
others.
Aw,
Love her. She's super
very
generous.
She's great.
sweet.
She's a good time. We have so much fun together. So I don't know my life without the family and my mom and my parents that
Yeah.
I grew up with. So
But
now I
now
just
it's
have
like
this
you have all
bonus
these
family.
amazing women in
Yeah.
your life. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the dad that's so cool and
Mhm.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Blessed. Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. So true. So true.
So how
That
do you
is so
feel?
cool.
So to wrap it up, how do you feel after like 10 years of being in Warwick? Like you made a big change, and then throughout 10 years of change, there's been finding your dad, there's been all these different eras of being here. Like, how do you feel overall about life at this point?
So good. I
Good.
feel like life is so good.
Cool.
10 years in New York made me very reflective. I felt like that's been my whole year. It's just feeling super reflecting on how appreciative I am for the people that are in my life because I moved to New York and the people that were in my life that got me to New York and have helped me stay in New York. And yeah, everything about this life here, the experiences that we've had, the friends that we've made. I mean, I can't, picture my life without you guys, without our friends here. It's pretty amazing. My soundbite all the time is I say I'm a spoiled brat, and I do believe it.
I love that.
I
I want Polly to
amazing people.
continue being spoiled.
But because of my good friends that balance me out,
Yeah.
I'm only who I am because I have friends who love me in
Of
spite
all
of.
the different factors like coming together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
feeling
and
that way
you're
lately.
grateful.
Yeah.
You're grateful. So you're allowed to be bratty if you're a grateful bratty.
I have friends who both love me in spite of my brattiness and also tone my brattiness.
Yeah, right. It's a perfect mix.
It's a perfect mix.
Yeah.
Chelsea once said, I've never met a Polly I didn't like. And that just shows how much love she has for me because I have some annoying Polly versions.
Oh, my favorite thing was when me and Chelsea would be like fighting, like not really.
Yeah.
I would walk to where Polly was between us, and I would start arguing, and it was like the most uncomfortable thing for Polly all the time. I would
You're
love to
like,
do it.
okay, so there's a Polly in between us.
Yeah, and then I'd be like, Polly, back me up.
Like, ugh.
I can imagine.
Get out of here.
Just
before-
her melting
Yeah.
between the two of us. Oh man.
I do
I
kind of
can
melt.
see Jake doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
definitely.
Well, I love that story. That is absolutely incredible.
It's a great story. It was the
Truly,
best
I love that.
ending to our pod year was to hear
Yeah,
that
this is our
story.
last pod for
Is
the
this the last
year.
pod for the year?
Well, it's December, so
All right. Then.
Who knows what we'll be able,
Yeah,
who
it's
knows
like
what we'll be able to do?
it's not like it's August and I'm like, well, this is the last one.
Well, it's the
Well,
end. It's June.
I know, but yeah, I
It's
feel honored.
December 19th, and we're like, we're gonna try to do our last pod in December. Like, try to do a last one that's amazing, and then
Aw.
maybe
felt
have a
like-
break. And
yeah,
this
I
was
felt like-
pretty epic.
This would be the best ending to the
Yeah.
year.
I am an avid listener.
She is.
I-
And
I think I haven't caught up on the very last one yet. But other
Well,
than
you're
that,
gonna get a hoodie whether you like it or not after that
Yeah.
story,
I love merch. I've
Right,
been waiting for the merch.
right, Jake?
Yeah,
Jake.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was a little busy hanging my TV in soundbar.
Okay, I'll allow it because it's for Bratty Polly.
There
Bratty
you go.
Polly.
Only reason.
Anything for Bratty
Oh
Polly.
wait, Chelsea
Yeah.
wants to jump in.
I just feel like
Yay.
it's important to change the narrative of that because you call yourself a spoiled brat. You are spoiled, but you're definitely not a brat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Spoiled,
so you're not,
a brat.
Brad, but
She's
people
not a brat.
like spoiling you. Then
I feel like we
enjoy
could
it.
name the episode like "Spoiled, Not a Brat," or
not Brat Summer, Polly Summer.
How I Met Your Father. How I Met Your Father.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Just to reiterate, they are so great. Like they're so nice. They're good people. Like they're just the way that Pops like handled every part of that like situation was so like tactful and nice. Like couldn't say enough good things about them. Like they're so great. So and getting to be
I
around them
think
multiple
for sure,
times.
if I need a lawyer, I'm calling him.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
need
that
a
dude sounds
family
epic.
law
Yeah.
attorney in Pottstown, PA.
There you go. I want him on my side.
Yeah.
He will fight for you.
Man.
And no one deserves it like Polly because she is the
Yeah.
best. And we loved
No, it's true, Polly. I love that. And it was
Yeah.
awesome hearing that whole story was so uplifting.
and it was amazing to like live with you and Elise for that time.
Yeah.
And
You guys are bonded forever.
oh yeah, for
But,
sure.
like already COVID, you were bonded, but this is like wild.
Yeah.
Which was amazing because the first year of COVID, we were feeling so disconnected from everyone, right? Like we couldn't
Yeah.
see our friends, and it's just hard we're all burnt out on Zoom. And
Yeah.
so I think I had those feelings in that first year of like, man, I don't get to see Jake and Chelsea as much, or so many people were missing. So that just like, I don't know, just more than made up for that first
The
year.
whole
Of
thing.
We're
okay,
like, what if we moved into the house?
don't tempt me with a good time. And it was just,
That is so cool.
Elise and I would talk about it sometimes on our own, just like, can you believe how good this is? Like,
Right?
this is just really
That's
good.
legit.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a good time.
I think you guys might need to get BFF necklaces.
If Jake will wear a BFF necklace, I will get it. Okay, merch.
The only one that wears it still.
He's loyal.
Our first hoodie on the back needs to be like I'm trying to think of like a little choice phrase, like Chelsea was saying, like, I'm not a brat, people just love to spoil me or something like that. Like a little
She likes it.
sassy, a little
That sounds-
sassy cutie comment.
That sounds like my life.
right? Like Polly didn't ask for this.
I didn't ask for this life.
No, it just
I didn't ask
happened.
for
Yeah.
2 sets of amazing parents.
Right. And
When
people
we
just like
first
spoiling
the
you.
first time we went to the house where Elise and Polly lived, their roommate Carissa was dating Matt, who was from Seattle. So like we met him right away, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he was dating Carissa, and now they're married and they're doing great. They're in SKE, and so just the
Whoa.
connections from the start, it was like so big. So we met Jeremy at Elise and Polly's house in the backyard, like
No,
a month into moving to Warwick.
that's where you met Jeremy Jenkins.
Yeah. So just
Oh
the
my
connection. Well,
gosh.
Chelsea met him first, but when I met him was at their house in the backyard. So like that house,
Polly
like
facilitating all the connects.
the house is like so big
Elise,
to us.
that house, man.
I love
that
it.
I mean, that's a whole nother story, but that house has just been a blessing. Elise in that house,
Yeah.
and now Jeff too. Like just a
Aw,
blessing for so many of us.
yeah.
Gave us a safe landing space, and then Elise is like my sister.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's,
That's
Well,
so epic. I love that story.
yeah, so
I
many
won't be
memories
able
in
to
that
pod
house.
again. I'm not going to be able to pod ever again. I'm done. I'm retired.
Oh, stop.
And well, this was great. This is what I thought
It
it would be, which
was.
is
It went so
a
fast
great
for me.
story, a great
Yeah.
catch up.
Jake really was singing your praises, and you definitely did not disappoint. That's for sure.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Me and Chelsea are fans for sure.
Big fans.
Likewise.
Big
Big
I'm fans
fans.
of you guys. I I had told Jake a couple weeks ago, I had somehow gotten behind on the pod and didn't realize it until you were putting out new episodes. And I was like, how did I miss like 4 episodes? So for a week, I was just binging, like catching up.
Jake
And
keeps
it,
us on
it
our
brought
toes.
me so much joy. I don't think you understand. I like just listening to it consistently back to back 4 or 5 episodes over a few days.
Yeah,
And I was just like laughing to myself. And
that's
I would
very
sometimes
sweet
I
of
would
you.
go in and because I usually listen in the car, but there were times where I was like, no, I need to like get this on YouTube.
Man, people do bringing up YouTube lately. I need to start looking a little
It
classier.
really does. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot of people. Like when we started this, it was like, we're going to make this for
Yeah.
Seth and Whitney, Devin and Jenna, and our
that was it.
spouses. And that was
That
it. But then
Yeah.
like,
And
having-
Darren and Chelsea were like, yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Chelsea's like, more work for me. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
edit and do all the,
Right. No
All
big
your
deal.
social media.
but then
Right.
even if it's like 10 more people that we're close to that
that are happy about it.
happier.
Yeah, we're
it's great.
thrilled.
Yeah.
We're thrilled, Jessica Polly.
I mean, you
We
guys
love
got me
it.
into pods. I wasn't a podcast person. And now when I don't have another pod to listen to, I'm like,
Oh,
I
that's
don't
cool.
really know how to find pods.
And now you've been on a pod.
Okay. Okay.
Now I've been
I
on a
love
pod.
that.
So
Well,
now
you're
I'm an
gonna be a
audiobook
star
girl.
now. You're gonna be a star.
No.
So get ready for the stardom. The paparazzi are gonna go crazy.
I'm only
right.
me because of you.
Well then, what do you have for a song, Polly?
Gosh, you don't understand how much I've been agonizing over this.
Agonizing. Wow, I have
Um,
not heard the word agonizing in decades. I love that.
I didn't want to be too sappy, but I've heard all of your song choices, and you were not afraid to go meaningful and emotional. So
Oh, for sure.
my first one, this song was I'll never find it again. I barely remember it, but when I was probably a teenager, there was this random like ABC 1 hour special on adopted kids.
Oh,
And No Doubt came on the special and performed Running. And ever since then, it's like my little adopted anthem.
Okay.
that's
So
adorable.
No Doubt Running. My second one, I found out today that today is National Emo Day. So
Oh,
thanks for
that's
recording
sick.
this pod on National Emo Day. So I'll do Dashboard Confessional. Now, I told Chelsea I couldn't. Do you have any Dash on the pod list yet?
I don't think so.
Not
Okay.
if we do, it's been a hot minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to do the places you have come to fear the most.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
And if I'm the first Dash person, that makes me really happy.
You are the first Dash person.
Excellent. And
I
then
certain that you might be the first person, yeah.
it's a toss up, but I was listening to this again the other night and I kind of think it hit a little different. I think it might also be about his daughter. The Ataris 11596.
Okay. I don't remember what that sounds. I don't remember that song.
It's a good song. I've always loved that song. And then the other night I was just listening to the lyrics and I was like, I feel like this has more meaning than I ever knew.
Really?
Did I tell you about John Calera, the guy from Atari's living in Warwick?
Yes. Is that still a thing?
Yeah. Like I would go to Eddie's and I would hang out with Jeremy. And then I went in one night and Jeremy was like, this guy's a Manchester United fan. So me and him started talking and I was like, we would just start talking soccer and I was a Liverpool guy and he was a Man U fan. And then after like a couple of times I would see him and we would chat. Jeremy's like, he was in the Ataris, right? And I was like, what? And I was like, you were in the Ataris? He's like, yeah, for like 12 years, like from
What?
this year to this year. And then I was like, so do you remember this show? And he's like, yeah, I remember this. So I saw him with the Ataris like 4 times over like a 10-year period.
That's amazing.
And I never knew it. He was just like the guy that likes a bad football team. So like we just became buddies over soccer. And then later I found out he was in the Ataris. So now he
He was
still
so
works in music, but he works like on the back end.
He was like someone that likes me for me.
Yeah. Someone that
Finally.
hates
Likes me for me.
me. Someone that hates me for me, not
My
No.
music.
He's a super good guy.
What
Super
did
cool guy.
Jeremy say that you had in common? He says, what?
Oh, Jeremy knew that I love Liverpool, and John liked Manchester United. So
Yeah.
every time I
He
saw him, we would,
goes, this guy, what did you say?
I don't know. This guy
I
likes
thought you were like,
Man
this
U,
guy
This guy
goes,
likes Man U. He's a Man U
Manchester
fan.
United.
yeah,
So
this
like,
guy likes Man U. Like
Mortal
just him
enemies.
saying that and walking away.
yeah. So like for a long time, we would just bust each other's balls about soccer, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then later I found out, like a long time later, I found out he was in a band that I used to go see all the time.
I mean, that's pretty hysterical that he's like, I was in the band for 12 years.
Yeah.
Just casually.
And I'm like,
Yeah, just
never heard of you.
Warwick does
Never heard of
randomly.
Coldplay?
Warwick randomly brings in, because there's also the Coheed and Cambria guy,
Yeah.
and I'm convinced I saw
What?
Jack Antonoff in Warwick.
So the basement where I made bats for like 2 years. Do you remember that? It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Made bats.
I still have a Hudson Valley Batco sticker.
Hudson Valley Bat Company. I used to make baseball bats, and in the basement where I
Interesting.
made them, Coheed and Cambria recorded like 3 albums,
Whoa.
and they would
That's
come into Eddie's
crazy.
Roadhouse, and Jeremy is like a crazy fan of theirs. They would come in and sit at the bar and just talk to him, and he
That's
would,
wild.
yeah.
Huh.
There's
Were
all
you
kinds
like, I love your 3 songs that made sense.
of.
I don't know the rest of them, but you know, they're-
one time I made Jeremy make me like a 10-song mix and be like, convince me to like this band.
yeah,
It didn't work. I didn't.
no.
You try.
But
Yeah.
I gave it a
Yeah,
shot.
you gave it the old
Okay,
college
sorry.
try.
Yeah. All right. What do you got, Melissa? Song
Okay,
or
so
songs?
since we're wrapping up the year and we just hiked Mount Marcy, and I thought I was gonna pass away. Then I'm gonna do Heaven Up There by Palace.
All right.
That song is
Oh.
beautiful, and by the time I got back down, that song came on, and I was still about 3 miles from getting to our car, 3rd day in.
Oh,
And
wow.
I literally kid you not, I started picturing the car, just the car, started weeping just to know that I was not dead and that the car was, I would see the truck that now was like my lover waiting on me to return.
Christina Mirage.
Yeah, it was like a mirage. I literally was just like,
Can't get there.
Dodge Ram, I love you. So, but that song came on and it was on repeat. And of course, Darren like walks up behind me and I turn around and I'm like all stupid looking. And he's like, why are you crying? I was like, we made it. And he goes, my stinking Amazon Music won't do a thing for me. And he just like passes me. I'm like having a mental breakdown. But it was kind of hysterical. I was like laughing at my own self. I was
That's
like,
funny.
just keep walking.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. Leave me behind. Okay, Jake, what do you got?
I just updated Rabbit's Revolver, which is a mix that I
Whoa.
used to do every week for my friend Chris,
Whoa.
that I call Rabbit, Chris Kearns.
Why do you call him Rabbit?
So Chris Kearns,
Chris.
CC, I forget how we got there, but it was like a whole long Chris Kearns,
Chelsea's like, we have to edit for
CC.
days.
Trixie, Tricks, Silly Rabbit, Tricks Are for Kids,
Oh, yeah.
Rabbit, Silly Rabbit, Tricks Are for Kids. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
really long, dumb thing. But when we first moved to Warwick, I would send him a new 25 song mix every week for like
Oh, that's
over,
cool.
over a year.
Wow.
I love when people do that. We had a guy
Um,
who did that on CDs.
Oh God.
No, he would send us a new CD in the mail, and they were fire. I
Yeah.
kid you not, they were fire.
Send them to me.
So-
I do CDs.
Because I missed him,
Yes.
I made
Exactly.
him a mix this week.
All right,
I
what do you
Oh,
I updated the Rabbit Revolver.
Okay, okay.
So I'm gonna pick 3 songs from this fire mix that I came up with on the spot because that's
Ooh,
how
on
I
the spot.
do
You're
it.
that good.
I'm gonna do Turn Off the Guitar by Angel Dust. I'm gonna do Slipping into Darkness by War.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do I Came as a Rat by Modest Mouse.
Well,
Alright.
we're going back to the Coheed and Cambria days.
Yeah, for real.
Don't compare the two.
No, I like Modest
do
Mouse
that.
a lot better. Coheed and Cambria is kind of
They're
like you know.
totally different, but
Yeah.
the same genre.
Yeah, right.
Same
Like
time.
when you're like a teenager trying to like be cool and you're like in a
Yeah.
skate shop and you're like, oh yeah, I know Coheed and Cambria. And it's like, you like Modest Mouse and you're like 15. You're like, heck yeah.
What
It's
I
like-
regret is we Modest Mouse played like every week in Seattle, like for free, and I
What?
never went and saw them because they were from like the guy from that band was like grew up right by me, but I never went and saw them, and then we finally saw them with like you saw them, but me and Chelsea went and saw them at like
Okay.
Sasquatch with like Postal Service and a bunch of big bands. Like
But like you could have literally been
could have like
there
seen him at
every
like
weekend.
there was this little spot in Redmond called the Firehouse.
That's where I saw-
You did?
Yes.
I'm so jealous.
Chelsea's like, sorry, loser.
Chelsea's okay. So
did.
Chelsea saw them in Redmond at the Firehouse.
We already knew Chelsea was cooler than you. It's fine.
Chelsea is
Right,
officially
let's be-
cooler than me for that one.
Let's just remember our place,
Yeah.
Jake.
She
Stay in
never
your
told me
lane.
that. She saved that one. She waited for me to be on air. until, like,
Waited for
Live
you.
reaction.
me.
Yep, our last episode, she's like, P.S.
Oh, P.S. Oh,
Yeah.
where'd you see him? At an amphitheater? Oh, I
that's
saw him at a
sad.
firehouse.
I actually saw him in my
Saw him in your
uncle's
dream.
garage.
Yeah, my
Sorry,
uncle's
loser.
garage.
Way
We
to be
actually
a
played in our
poser.
garage last week. You weren't here.
Where were you? That's crazy.
Well, Polly, we love you.
Ollie, I love you. This was
This
so
is great.
fun.
Thank you,
It was
guys.
amazing.
This was
Melissa,
great.
next time you're up, I'd love to.
Oh,
meet you.
we're gonna hang,
Okay.
and I'm gonna
Invite me
meet
to the family
Pops.
reunion.
Yeah,
This
I
is
need to
my
meet
favorite.
Pops.
This is my favorite thing about the pod is how many people we already are kind of connected in a lot of ways, but
Mhm.
we're just like shrinking the connections.
Shrink
Yeah.
the circles.
Yeah.
So
I
Come
love
on
it.
through. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna see you again at some point, Polly.
Absolutely.
We're gonna
Thank you,
hang
guys.
out. Jake and
Congrats.
Chelsea. Don't cry, Jake.
Don't cry.
Don't cry.
oh, I'm not. I'm sick. It's just that
See
It's
how he
not-
gets,
not
Polly. He's
tears.
like,
I
"Oh,
know.
I'm sick.
I
I'm
know.
sick."
I almost cried when I brought up Marley, but I held.
No, don't
strong.
bring up Marley.
The
We'll
only
have to
time
go
I've seen
hold you.
Jake cry.
Oh man,
Jessica's like, I've seen Jake cry every week. I don't know
you
what
lived with me for 2 years. You saw me.
Tears
cry
are
all
crying.
Jake's a crier. What do you mean, Jake? No, we're not.
We talked about Jeremy, but Jake.
But Jake is really the ball of the baby. I mean, he's the ball baby. Oh my gosh. People are gonna be a ball baby when they listen to this pod.
That was a great
wild.
story. Thank you for telling
Thanks
us that
for-
story.
Thanks for having
Jessica,
me.
this was a blast.
Thanks for
And
letting me
then
share.
Call me
Congrats on
later,
your-
and I'll edit out all the stuff that you don't want.
Thank you.
And if you really want to edit out, tell him twice.
Yeah, yeah. We've had some slips.
I know.
I know.
There was a time where I edited out Seth's name like 3 times, but then there was like a
Oh,
4th
gosh.
time where I just said his name and I didn't edit it.
Oh, well, and sometimes our guests too, they're wild. But Jessica,
I also
Powell
thought maybe
is
it
not
was
wild.
like intentionally funny at that point. Like
Yeah.
just kidding.
That's
we
what it
made
was.
about editing, but
That's what it was. I was being funny.
totally intentional.
Yeah. No, that was Jake's ideal moment, being
Oh,
funny,
man.
a little crack up,
Little crack up.
a little crack up.
All right.
Alright,
Well, I'm gonna go to
He's
bed.
Awesome.
Happy 2024, guys.
Love
on
you.
the pod.
24 for the
Thank
pod.
you. We're still
Thank you,
going after a year and a
Jakey.
half.
It's pretty amazing.
Woo! We can do
Crazy.
this.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. We loved having you. I'll see you
Thank you
guys
so much.
next time. Jake, take some NyQuil.
I will.